So here again is my Smith and Wesson M&P10 308 that I just showed in my previous video. And the parts that I chose to modify the stock configuration on this M&P10 are Bravo Company Gunfighter charging handle, Magpul Myad grip, Surefire 762 brake, Bravo Company low profile gas block, this Apex Handguard 15-inch. I also bought a 16-inch 308 match barrel from Rainier Arms, and DPMS 308 barrel nut, along with the Apex Handguard mounting options, and a Magpul CTR stock with the enhanced butt pad, and some Daniel Defense iron sights, which will hold me over until I can get a magnified optic. For this build, I wanted this to be a precision 308 AR, and I wanted to make it as lightweight as I possibly could, because 308 ARs typically end up getting pretty heavy, and especially once you add a magnified optic. I did sacrifice the length of the barrel, the 18-inch barrel, to go for a 16-inch barrel to get some of the weight off the front end, and also to make it a little bit more maneuverable with 2 fewer inches on the front end. So for the handguard, I wanted it full length, almost the entire length of the barrel, so that I could rest it on any surface at any time to give support. But I wanted it free floating so that it would never cause any kind of deformation or deflection of the barrel. So 16-inch barrel, 15-inch handguard, and with the brake on it, there will be very little barrel exposed. So those are the parts for this build. Interestingly, on this lower, as I was putting on the grip, it has 2 springs, which may be standard for 308 lowers, but it's a little different than AR-15 lowers. But here's your spring with the pin for your safety, just like an AR. But then also here's a spring, the pin that catches your takedown pin. So usually on the AR-15 lower, this spring comes out the back end, and you have to deal with it when you're putting on a castle nut and end plate. But it's kind of cool, you don't have to deal with that on this lower. And you'd probably have to have an incredibly long spring to reach all the way back to do that on this lower. So anyways, kind of cool. One of the nice things about the Magpul grips is that they have a straight slot screwdriver to fasten them to the AR lowers, which is nice because on your standard grip you have an Allen screw, and invariably I can never find an Allen wrench that fits all the way down in there that I can turn and take it off. So, and I'm too cheap to go to the store and buy an Allen wrench just for that specific purpose. So I actually just cut off the standard pistol grip so that I could reach it with a short Allen wrench. Took it off, and now with the straight slot screw, you can just use one of your long screwdrivers to use that. So here's the finished lower. Just added the grip and the buttstock, and put the upper up in the DPMS Panther Claw, which it's a pretty tight fit, but it got on there nicely. So if you want to work on your upper, it'd be good to get a tool like this. I forget how much it costs, it's like 50 or 60 bucks, but you're going to need to use a tool like this to be able to do your build and do it right. So we'll start on the upper now. So we hit a little snag. I realized that my AR-15 tool that I would use to remove the barrel nut did not fit over this really fat barrel. Because of the size of the base of this barrel, it's really flush, as you can see, with the inside of the barrel nut. And for my AR-15 tool, it had a bunch of, the inner diameter of it was too narrow to fit over the barrel. So I just spent about an hour and a half or so dremeling this out, and finally got it big enough in here to accommodate the barrel, and then was able to loosen the barrel nut. And then the next thing, loosen the gas block, cut this off, so now we'll be able to remove the barrel nut next. So I ran into another pretty large snag, unfortunately. I installed the new barrel, then put in the bolt carrier group and bolt, and unfortunately the bolt does not fit into the barrel extension from Smith and Wesson, or the barrel extension on the new barrel. And went to do some research online and discovered that Smith and Wesson's barrel extension, their bolt and bolt carrier group, are proprietary. They are not DPMS style, despite what they advertise. And so I'm going to keep this 18-inch barrel from Smith and Wesson and just throw on the Handguard and figure out something else to do with the other match barrel from Rainier Arms. So now I'm installing the gas block. Now I'm installing the mounting hardware for the Apex Handguard. Alright, now I've installed the Apex Handguard, and this isn't a tutorial on how to install it, just chronicling the build. But with each Apex Handguard you get instructions with the handguard on how to install it. Also, there's a very good installation YouTube video by Rampart Gear that I used to help me install the rail. I'll also include it in a link to that video in the comments below if you're interested. So, handguard is now installed. There it is. The big thing basically was just to fasten the clamp to the barrel nut and to slide the tube over the clamp, fasten the tube to the clamp, and then when you're all done you can unscrew each screw individually, add some Loctite, and put it back in, and then you're done. Now we'll work on the Surefire Brake. So this isn't a Surefire Brake installation tutorial, and actually Surefire has a very nice tutorial on their YouTube page with Barry Dewick showing you how to install a brake and a flash hider from Surefire. But just basically you get a bunch of different shims from them, all different thicknesses, and you have to time this correctly so that it's up and down and at 12 and 6 o'clock. And they give you a little instruction manual with a wheel telling you how many shims to use to time it correctly depending on where your flash hider or brake sits on the barrel when you just hand tighten it on. So I've already done all that, and now I'm just going to tighten it. You tighten it to 20 foot-pounds. I have it already set at the right. So I'm just going to time it now. So now we're going to remove that, add some rock set, and we'll be good to go. So now we have the Surefire Brake installed with the rock set to hold it on underneath, and there's the full length upper. I'll clean everything up, mount it back on the lower, and show you guys the finished product. So here's the finished product. Apex 15-inch handguard, original 18-inch barrel from the Smith and Wesson. Surefire Brake on the end, Magpul Myad grip, and Magpul CTR stock with the enhanced butt pad. Just threw on a micro T for my AR. Eventually we'll get a magnified optic. Just wanted to show you configuration. So much more utilitarian handguard. It's free floating, but also you can reach out a lot further on this. With the free float and the extended handguard, you can set it on anything to rest it without deforming the barrel or causing a degradation in your accuracy. So pretty happy overall with this. Didn't turn out exactly like I wanted it, but the 18-inch barrel will give me a little more velocity, and we'll test it for accuracy, see if it's as good as a match barrel. But finished product. And then again, for the weight conscious, in my last video I did weights fully loaded, stripped, etc. And I wanted to compare this version to see what we got out of it. So in my last one, the stripped stock weight was 7.7 pounds. This is 8.0 pounds. So we gained a little weight with all the mods we did. And adding a mag, 9.5 versus 9.1. Then add Daniel defense sights, 9.7 basically versus 9.35, and then to throw on the micro T1, if I can get it to balance, and we're right at 10 pounds, 10.1 if you round, versus 9.7. So gained a little bit of weight with the 15-inch handguard and the stock with the enhanced butt pad. But I'm happy with specifically the handguard. It's a lot more utilitarian, and I'll take a little bit of that weight for what I got. So, lessons learned from this build. Unfortunately, Smith and Wesson M&P10 is a new gun on the market, and there's not a lot known about it, or not a lot of information available. So this build was a little bit blind in that regards. Hopefully some of the lessons I learned from this will help you guys save money and time and effort and frustration. But as I learned with the barrel, the Smith and Wesson barrel extension, their bolt carrier group, and their bolt are all proprietary. Even their upper receiver, I believe, is not dimensionally or will not be compatible with other bolt carrier groups like the DPMS bolt carrier group. So at least that's what I found online in a few forums, ar15.com, someone mentioned. Also, I tried the BCM gunfighter charging handle, and because of the proprietary BCG, this didn't really work in the upper receiver. It got stuck. So can't use the BCM gunfighter charging handle. So for you guys out there, you can still put the regular handguards on there, any aftermarket handguards that typically fit the DPMS style, and everything else is compatible. Just stay away from stuff that goes into the upper receiver, bolt carrier groups, bolts, charging handles, etc. And also any other barrels that are compatible with DPMS type parts will not fit either. The barrel extension is proprietary to Smith and Wesson. So other than that, it's an awesome rifle. I'm looking forward to getting out in the range and shooting it, and would recommend it to you guys, at least initially. Let me get it on the range and try it out first, okay? Alright, thanks for watching.